Steve Austin, astronaut. A man barely alive. Gentlemen, we can rebuild him.
That arm, those legs of his will do anything, absolutely anything.
There's a lot from people who run into on the street is the Bigfoot episodes. And Bigfoot was, of course, everybody's still interested in Bigfoot. I think there's still a group of people out there still trying to find Bigfoot, even to this day. And I'm not sure he exists, but he exists for me in a very big man, a very giant of a man named Andre the Giant. And I'm not sure exactly how tall he was, but I know it was 7'5" or 6", and probably weighed over 400 pounds. And then to put him in a Bigfoot costume, he was even he loomed much larger. And I remember the first day that we worked, I had a fight scene in the woods with Bigfoot, and we're fighting, and I remember he picks me up and he throws me, I don't know, it seemed like forever, and I landed, and he's supposed to come and run and dive on top of me, and I'm thinking I'm going to get crushed. I'm going to get crushed here. And the sun was bright, and I'm laying there, and I see him coming, and then all of a sudden it gets dark. It's the cloud. It's the shadow of Bigfoot coming down on me, and I'm holding my breath, and he hits the ground, and I'm thinking, he didn't even touch me. He didn't even touch me. I mean, it was so amazing. And then I realized, well, you know, the guy was a champion, world champion wrestler and professional wrestler. That's what they do for a living, so now I know they're good. But anyway, Andre was such a sweet man. He was a gentleman. He was kind of a restaurateur. He had a restaurant in France, from where he was born and raised, and maybe that's why he was so big. Maybe he loved his own cooking, but he did love to cook. And I remember he would sit around, and it would be so hot. It would be, 90 degrees, and I remember watching him one day, and he drank a case of beer. He sat and he would take a can of beer and he would drink it, and he'd crush the can and throw it away, and he would drink about 4 at a time. And I watched him, and within an hour he had drunk a case of beer, and we just were amazed, and we wondered. He never went to the bathroom either, so we couldn't figure that out. So the next day, it's a practical joke. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but I will. But somebody had some little diuretic of some sort, and so we put it in one of his beers and drank it down. He still drank his case of beer. He still never went to the bathroom. Must have been, he must have had a very, very large kidney, but when you're that big, I guess you got 2 pretty big kidneys. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting story, and it was just one of my favorite episodes. And I did battle Bigfoot, I know at least one other time. The only thing is that Andre didn't do the other one. In fact, I think that might have been the first one. It was Ted Cassidy, who was a big stunt man, but he did a wonderful job too. So anyway, those were my 2 favorites. Another episode, I don't know which episode it was in, but we had to, with Andre the Giant, we had to go through the Universal Tunnel, one of the attractions up there, which is basically, you can't really walk through it without veering to one side or another, mainly to the right. And I know when the trams go through to take the tourists, they have guardrails kind of on the side up a little bit so the tires they'll know when they're off the road. But Andre had to carry me through this tunnel for a ways, and it was like midnight and everybody was tired. And I just remember when he picked me up, because I tried to walk it, and I could only get like maybe 20 maybe 5 or 10 yards, and then I would just automatically start going to the right. And he picked me up, and I'm thinking, because off to the right side, it's a straight platform, but it's surrounded by a drum that keeps going around and around, so it really affects your, it's an optical illusion. And so he picks me up, and we're walking, and I'm just scared to death because he's veering and veering and veering just a little bit, and I could imagine going over that with Andre, landing on top of me for real, and then being in like a washing machine going around and around. But anyway, he ended up doing it, and I got to admire him for that costume and as big a man as he was, and pulling that thing off. That was quite awesome. Andre wasn't shy about getting in line at lunch. And of course, you'd have a board saying chicken, steak, and fish, and they'd ask him what he wanted, and he'd say chicken, steak, and fish, and they'd give him a piece of chicken, and they say, no, chicken. So they ended up giving him a whole chicken, and a couple of 3 or 4 steaks, and so the man could eat. And breakfast, it was like a dozen eggs instead of a couple of eggs. So he kept the catering company on its toes, but I guess they liked it. They made more money when Andre did the shows.